What's up, bitches? And all my fellow talking shit podcasters and listeners. This is another episode of Talking Shit. I'm your host, Mr. X, along with my co-host, Jazzy T, or Tobi, if you will.
Yeah, hey now.
Yeah, hey now.
I've officially stolen it because you've moved over to something else. So yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I got a million of them.
Mm-hmm. And today we are following up and having another discussion about feminism, and it's something that has continued to be a theme with me and Mr. X in our personal lives and personal conversations, and it's actually trickled into my personal life and my experiences. And I have to say that having these discussions with you, Mr. X, hasn't changed my life, but it certainly caused a paradigm shift in my thinking. Like I think that you and me talking, arguing, like you and I have had some legit fights about this. It's caused me to like really reflect on not only what I said the last time in our last podcast, but it's caused me to like look at how people view feminism and view women in our society. And so that's why I brought it up to you that I wanted to have another talk about this, because like it never ended, right? You and me, it never ended.
Well, it never ended with you. You wanted to keep rehashing and keep going because I guess you, as the times went on, you got other information and different viewpoints, and ultimately, I guess it made you end up rethinking and seeing where I was coming from with this whole thing. Because to the contrary, what people think, because you told me that you let a few people listening to that particular episode, and they're coming back with the idea that I'm living in the 50s or the 60s, and that's total bullshit, man. You know, my whole thing is that, like, are there injustices towards women? Absolutely. Okay. But I think that the way that some of the, not all feminists, but some of the feminists react to it is like they're kind of contradicting themselves in their pursuit of pushing for equality. Because during their push for equality and rights, they're belittling and bringing down certain type of men or men, if you will. And to me, that just that doesn't make any sense, because here it is, you want equality, but at the same time you're fighting for equality, you're bringing down a certain group of people, and that, to me, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think, I could have just, if this was just me, I could have just done a solo podcast about, the conversations I've had with my friends and colleagues and stuff like that. But I think too that, like you just mentioned, people have had negative reactions to what you said. And so this will perhaps give you a chance to talk about that as well.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it, but the main thing is what we discussed was your new outlook on it. I could really care less about what people really think about my viewpoints, because outside of me and you have a lot of talks and conversations, and you legitimately most of the time know where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. And you don't have a biased viewpoint. You actually sit and listen and analyze what I'm saying, and then come up with your own conclusion, versus where you had a feminist friend who just wasn't trying to hear any goddamn thing I was saying. And I actually tried to lighten and make light of the situation, but because she had this outlook on what she thought the type of person I am, she wasn't trying to hear shit I was saying. And to me, like that type of train of thought gets nowhere. I'm open to listening to people's opinion. That's how you learn different things. You know, you don't have to necessarily agree with their opinion, but taking in what they're saying is, you know, that could also be beneficial. But to certain people, it's in one ear out the other, and just ran their thoughts and their position on how they feel.
Okay, well, that happened to me to a certain extent in our last podcast. So, you know, you said,
what do you mean? You want to explain?
You said stuff, and I got in my feelings, and I started actually just arguing with you, just to argue with you.
In the last podcast?
Yeah. No,
or the last podcast. Okay.
Our first feminism podcast. Like, I was just arguing to argue with you, and you said some things, and it just got me like, it just put me in like defense mode. So.
Well, do you remember real quick? Do you remember what those trigger words were, or those things that I said?
Well, I remember what they are. Like,
what? Cater.
Oh, cater.
And
Yes.
Here's the thing. That triggered you, but that came from another woman's point of view. Mr. X didn't make that word up. I was reading a text. What do you mean, you know? So that came from a woman's point of view.
I know.
Not mine. Not mine.
I know.
So just before we dive into the topic, just to make sure, by your logic, it's okay for a man to cater to a woman, but not a woman cater to a man?
Nope. Never did I say that. I never said.
Then why would the word cater to a man trigger you?
Just
because,
the idea.
Let me finish. Because it's okay for a man to cater to you, because you've had men cater to you, and you've had no problem with that. But when the roles are reversed and turned around, when it's time for you to do the catering, it's a big deal.
No.
It triggered you. It triggered you. So apparently you had a problem with it.
I have a problem with the word period. It wasn't about a man or a woman catering to a man, or a man catering to a woman. It wasn't gendered. It wasn't gendered. It was the word catering.
All right, dude. You're full of shit.
Am I? Because in my last relationship, I did not expect my man to cater to me.
You didn't expect it, but he did anyway. And you were totally fucking fine with that. These are the words that are coming out of your mouth.
That was my relationship previous to that. My last relationship that I was in, I don't think my man catered to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean your marriage? You're talking about your last relationship after your marriage.
After my marriage, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? That wasn't a long relationship at all, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, but you're gonna count that anyway, huh?
Sure.
For the purpose of your argument. Anyway, let's move forward.
You're just gonna get mad at me all over again, aren't you?
No, I'm not. You'll probably end up getting mad at me.
Probably. Okay, so this is I actually have notes this time, because I don't want to forget anything. So first I want to say, and I told you this immediately after listening to the Feminism, Is It Toxic Masculinity episode, I was shocked by what I said, because I think that it's kind of like when I perform. Like, I perform, it's a blur, and then it's over, right? Like, I don't remember everything that happened. And so it's actually really good that you and we both listen back to the podcasts, and like, you know, we check each other and like, what did you think, and blah, blah, blah. Because like, I really recognized in myself that I was just reactionary, instead of thinking about like what I actually felt and what I actually thought. So one of the things that like,
well, can I ask you a question? Is it because of that drinking problem that you have, that it's a blur during the podcast?
Are you finished?
I'm just getting started, bitches.
My drinking problem. This is when you give me one fucking drink, and that's a drinking problem?
One fucking drink and you're bombed off that drink?
Okay,
you're ready to run topless through the fucking place that we're recording, after one drink and it's not a drinking problem?
Hey, just be happy that you don't have to spend a lot of money when I'm at your house and you offer me a drink. You'd be like,
Oh
"Okay,
my
Toby,
goodness.
Toby's just gonna have one drink and that's gonna be it." So that's
And
cool.
we're gonna have to call the fucking police to get her out of here because she's such a firecracker.
Oh Jesus. Anyway.
All right, okay. Let the record show that Toby does not have a drinking problem, but she is a lightweight. She is a lightweight.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. All right. So, okay. So one of the things that I want to talk about is this whole Lizzo thing that we brought up, and I don't know. We even have like a little bonus episode where you followed up this question, but you
Yeah,
asked.
when are we gonna release that?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the question was really about can and should women, or it's two separate questions. Can women wear whatever they want when they perform? Like, can they perform half naked on TV or at a football game? And I said, absolutely, yes, we can. Why? Because guess what? It's the 21st century. We can do whatever the fuck we want. And then you and I and me and other people, like friends, I brought this up with them because you were like, no, women shouldn't. And the reason that I got offended is because like you were saying women should not do this. And I took it as like, because you're a woman, you shouldn't do this. But what I want to say is, no, no one should be performing half naked on TV or at a football game or whatever. Why?
Right.
Well, why? Because, first of all, like as a musician, like, I mean, you're making a choice to put body image and like showmanship and flashiness above musicianship.
And
I mean,
talent.
and talent. Like, so what are we looking at? We're looking at your fat ass on a stage shaking around, and everyone goes, oh my God, she's so brave because she's fat and she's dancing. Like, can we talk about her music? Can we talk about why she's a performer? Can we talk about why she's influential as an artist?
Right.
So
being that you're in music, have you ever heard of Marie Ben Ali?
No, I haven't.
She's a very, very talented violinist. And when I used to see her, she didn't dress half naked and ass and titties was out. She was very, very beautiful. But the thing that I remember about her most is she could actually play the fucking violin. I wasn't worried about how big her tits were, or wasn't worried about how big her ass was.
Right.
But women walk out here and they wear this type of shit, and then the first thing they'll say is, oh, he's thirsty. Oh, he's this and that, or no, don't inbox me. This is not an invitation for sex. And it might not be an invitation for sex, but what is the point of this? Well, what is the point of you wanting to, hold on just a second. What is the point of you wanting to take a picture with your ass, your titties out, if it's not to show it off to anyone? So when you do these type of things, when you take these type of pictures and you post it on social media for everyone to see, you need to be ready to accept any type of comments that come your way. Because the thing that I say, and a lot of people, well, your friends don't fucking like me, and that they don't get my sense of humor. They don't get where I'm coming from, and that's fine. That's cool. I'm doing this podcast for fun, and on the other hand, my friends, they understand when they get my humor and they get where I'm coming from. So having said that, whenever I say something, I stand by it. I don't tuck tail, and I fucking own up to it.
Right.
So and I when we do these podcasts, I know what I'm getting myself into when we publish them. So you women, you wearing all this shit with your tits and your ass out, be ready to expect some crazy shit coming your way. Is it fair? Might not be fair, but we don't live in a fair society. So you're gonna have dickheads that come message you and say this, and you're gonna have guys that just, oh yeah, you're beautiful, blah blah blah, you're pretty, and not be so aggressive. That's the nature of the beast. But most parts, feminists can't accept that. They think that no man should say anything, and they can walk around half naked with vagina imprint showing on social media, and that's just fine.
Well, and I think what what causes this reaction in us being women, is that for the past while, however this third wave of feminism has been in effect, we just have this automatic reaction to being told what to do by men, and not taking it like good advice. Like, you know what? Are we being, as females, are we being good role models for the younger generation by performing like this on a regular basis? Versus, can we look maybe to the 1960s and 1970s and look at how females dressed and performed back then? I pretty much think that 30, 40 years ago, all of the performers were pretty respectable in their clothing and maybe not in their personal lives, but as role models, looking up to like Diana Ross, or like even Tina Turner. Like, Tina Turner was wild on stage, but like, it wasn't grotesque, I would argue. It wasn't like naked. She wasn't naked. She was herself on stage.
Right.
And there were lots of conservative performers as well. But I mean, I don't think that parents back then would be afraid to put on a TV show of like Diana Ross performing, because it might be inappropriate.
Right.
I think that kind of started with Madonna and like Michael Jackson. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember when like Michael Jackson music videos or Madonna music videos started coming out, but like they would only show
how would Michael Jackson be an influence of
it? His Thriller music video was like rated R or something. They would only show
Thriller?
it like, yeah, was it Thriller, or what was the other one? No, was it Thriller?
Thriller was the one where they're like, it was zombies.
No, it was some other video of his. But I know for sure Madonna, Like a Virgin, it was only shown like after 11 p.m. or something, because kids were not allowed to see it, like for a few different reasons. But
yeah, I get what you're saying. Michael Jackson's not in that conversation at all. Like, no.
Really?
No.
Oh. All right.
I remember Madonna when I was young, and yes, Madonna was probably the first to take it there. But I mean, I don't think it's just her as a person. I think it was pushed on her and be like, hey, it'd probably be a good idea for you to do this route or do that route or go this road or go that road. I don't think that she came out there wanting to be a wild child like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but then again, I don't know her as a person or whatnot, but
you don't? I thought you were personal friends.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was drunk that night, so I really didn't get to chat with her that much. It was just business as usual on my end.
Whatever. But
she wasn't for the record, she wasn't a virgin no more that night.
Oh my God. Mr. X.
Woo! I got $1 million from bitches.
Shit.
Oh, shit.
I think what happened is you ask this all the time of me. You ask me to analyze my actions. Like, why are you doing this? What are you going to get out of it? And I think that we should ask women who want to take things to the extreme. And if we look back at kind of the topic of our first feminism episode, it was like, is it toxic masculinity? And a conversation that has come up recently is, are these women that are doing this, like, first of all, yeah, what is their motivation? Why are you on stage half naked? What do you want people to look at?
At a presidential rally.
Okay, well, that's a different topic, but like, we'll move away.
Oh, my bad.
We'll move away from the musicians in a second. But like,
okay, got you.
I mean, like, because you've already said you've seen a violinist play, and she was dressed beautifully, and she's a beautiful woman, and you were focused on her music. So again, instead of just getting my back up and you telling me or you telling Lizzo that she shouldn't wear that, it's not about a man telling a woman what to do. It's like, really, like, why are you doing that? What is it serving the music? Is it serving your point as a performer, you know?
Right.
Um and
So real quick, just for the record, can I ask you this question?
yes.
Okay. I do I do criticize women, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do I criticize men as well?
Yes.
Okay. So do you feel that I'm fair across the board?
uh I would say that you criticize you criticize everyone equally.
But you know what? Our listeners won't fucking see that, and that's been on every episode, or every not every episode, but every time it's coming to a debate. You know,
Right.
at any given point in time during the show, if you want to talk about men and particular subjects, I'm fucking ready to go there with you. I'm ready, not in defense of them, but on some certain shit that they need to be called out on. I'm fair game. But see, the thing with the feminists is they're doing nothing wrong. They're doing everything that they should be doing the correct way and by the book.
Mm.
And so now here, weeks removed from our first episode, I'll ask you this question again: Is feminist is it toxic masculinity or womaninity or whatever?
um wow, okay. um to answer your question, I will bring up the discussion I had yesterday at school with some of my school friends. And so the idea with toxic masculinity is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is um, when you act like a man and it's off-putting, or your manliness is too much manliness. You're just like, I'm gonna like assert myself and tell you what to do, and that's toxic masculinity. Is that what it is? Like, right? I don't know. Is that,
I mean, well, you're the woman, so
I don't really toxic. I've never thought that thought. Like,
but here's the thing: you told me that you were part feminist. That's what you told me.
I think nowadays almost every woman has feminist ideals. Just
Nah, no,
call it,
don't deal in absolutes, because
no. Okay, I said almost.
I
I said
just read
almost.
we read a text the last time we were on the air
Mm.
about a woman that thought that toxic or feminist was out of control. We read that, and my girlfriend herself thinks that is out of control.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, I would say that all women have some feminist ideals. Like, we want to have equal pay. That's a feminist ideal. We
Right,
want equal opportunity to jobs. That's a
right,
feminist ideal. I
right.
don't think anyone, even you yourself, you don't disagree with that. And you said that last time. You said that
Absolutely,
obviously we should have equal pay. Like, why would it be different, right?
that's right. That's right.
So that's what
On
I'm saying, Mr. X.
certain jobs, yes, right. But that's what you're saying now. But there's been different times, because last up until yesterday, when that event hit you, you thought that women could dress however they want to dress. You thought that women could do whatever they wanted to do.
Okay, first of all, that didn't change yesterday. I've been reflecting on it for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Yesterday was I had another paradigm shift that has nothing to do with the way women dress, but it has to do with this toxic masculinity question, which means, like, are you taking masculinity too far? Okay, so here is the Cole's Notes version of what happened. I
Cole, who's
saw
Cole?
Cole's Notes, you
I
know.
thought it was Cliff.
No, what, Cliff's Notes?
Yes, it's like a quick version. Is that not right?
Oh my God, is that a Canadian thing? That is so weird. You guys say Cliff Notes.
Maybe they're
Oh,
cousins. I don't know. We have to find out.
okay.
One of you motherfuckers is a fraud.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to look that up. That is so funny. No, we say Cole's Notes in Canada.
Oh, we say they are cousins. They both have the same last name. No, okay, gotcha.
Cliff and Cole notes.
Clifford Cole, no. Both of these motherfuckers in a hurry to tell their story.
That is so hilarious.
We got shit to do. We got shit to do.
Okay, so here's the Cliff Note version.
Oh, okay. Oh, I recognize that. Okay.
All right. So what happened is an all-female band came to perform. Okay. And everyone was super excited, especially the women, because in my industry, in jazz, there aren't a lot of women in my field of work, in education and as performers. It's a male-dominated genre and society, the jazz world. So it was like super exciting. Oh my God, all female band, like girl power. And then it came to the concert, and
I have a feeling there was probably some wet coochies in there somewhere. I'm sorry.
Why?
Why would you all be stoked for an all-female band?
Mm. Can I?
I'm sorry. Yes, you can continue. Can you remember that we're at a fucking podcast as well?
Okay. So everyone got to the concert and everyone was ready to be their biggest fans. Like, oh my God, this is gonna be so amazing, because they all are good in their own right. But what happened was the music was aggressive, it was loud, it was fast, and there wasn't a lot of beauty. And I mean, if you were there, Mr. X, you wouldn't have lasted very long. And we always say in the jazz world, like, we recognize that jazz isn't for everybody, but if anything, it should be beautiful. Like, you should be able to sit down at a concert and go, you know what? I think that's good, or I think that's beautiful. But what happened was, like, it was just so many notes, and it was like, what's going on? And a lot of people felt isolated. They felt like, I don't understand. I must be stupid because I don't get this music. And so we're sitting there. I'm sitting with some friends yesterday, and there was just the thought that, like, when did women start playing like men?
Wow.
And what I mean by playing like men,
wow.
Men have always like, oh, I'm going to play the saxophone loud and high, and I'm going to play like a fucking million notes in like 2 seconds. And that's going to be
I'm going to fuck this pussy. I'm going to like pound it hard and fast like a jackrabbit. Like that? You mean?
Yeah. Yeah, except in jazz. Except for with the saxophone. So yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Thank you for making like my story accessible to the average person. That's
hey man, I'm just trying to so everyone can relate. You know what I mean?
You're doing a good job. And I sat there and I just listened to this thought, like, when did women start playing like men? Or when did women start having to feel like they needed to compete with that idea that like faster, louder, higher is better?
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, because, and it's not like I would ever say, oh, you should play like a girl, because that has negative connotations, just like in sports, like, oh, you throw like a girl, like no one wants to say that, and no one, wants to think that, but
what happened if it's true?
But like, why?
In sports, it could be true, but
yeah, but also
in music, I don't think there's a such thing. You're right. In music, there's you're to a certain extent, because you during the story, you told me that your music teacher actually said that they're playing like men.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I definitely feel what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because and again, it just brought up questions, and I don't think that there is an answer, but because what is playing like a man, and what is playing like a woman? But it's become this thing where we women we feel like we have to compete with men. And then I started thinking about our discussion and like how many ways in society we do things to compete with men instead of being
Right.
beautiful and strong and talented in our own right, in our own way.
Right.
Like you say this all the time, like women have certain skills and abilities that men just don't have.
Period. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful in its form. Like, and uh, just like you have men that try to do shit like a woman, and like, nigga, you're not a woman, so you're not gonna be able to perfect that because you're not made to do that. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's okay. Accept it.
Mm,
But today's day and age that you have to compete. Like you said, you have to compete.
yeah. I mean, again, I'm going to get super nerdy and it's just going to be like one more minute, but like even our speaking voices, Mr. X, there was a study in the 1950s, women spoke like women. They
Mm,
spoke like this. They were beautiful women. And then as we entered the workforce, our voices became lower. And you will notice that nowadays, most women speak like I do, speak low in our range. And
mm,
that the study said that that's so we can compete in the boardroom where there's men, and we have a more authoritative tone, tone of voice when we are talking to men, because we're not talking like women, we're talking like men.
right, right.
And it's so funny because my singing voice, I'm actually a soprano, I'm a very high singer, but I
Tony
speak,
Soprano.
shut up, I speak I speak low in my low because like all women nowadays we speak low in our range because we have to change ourselves to compete with men. Like that's fucked up. Like we shouldn't do that.
Right. You scared the shit out of me sometimes with your voice. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Excuse me? What do you mean?
Let me find out that you Joanna Man or some type of shit. Let me find out. Have you seen Have you seen Joanna Man? Is that movie too black for you, or
Yes.
yeah, we'll save it for the next episode. Ah.
But I scare you with my speaking voice.
No, I'm just bullshitting. I'm
Okay, good.
just cracking jokes.
I'm like,
Again,
I'm
it's a
like, I'm like,
podcast. It's a
I'm like,
podcast, not a fucking therapy session.
I'm like, Jesus, like, is my voice really that low?
I'm
Anyway,
like, Jesus, is my voice really that low?
fuck off.
Miss Crawford.
Okay, so us competing with men in the music world, it's done a disservice to ourselves and maybe the music, and maybe that's not what they're doing. Maybe they're not even consciously competing with men, but it I don't know. It was sure a shock, and it actually caused a lot of women to like think and reflect, and so it was a really great concert in that way.
Right, right.
Um,
I know from my point of view that my particular genre of music, if you will, I can definitely see them trying to compete with men because all you have to do is just listen to the newest female artists that they push and that they promote.
yeah, like who?
And Nicki Minaj,
Okay.
Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion.
Mm,
There was another artist that was up and coming, but she's kind of fell off.
mm,
Her name was Young Ma. Even these wildly disorderly bitches called the City Girls,
mm.
and it's all about because what the guys used to rap. Well, you're not used to, but what do men still rap about?
Pussy.
Pussy, money, disrespecting the woman, and blah blah blah, and this and that. And now, what are the women rapping about?
What, tell me.
Fuck him, fuck him. I can have. I'm gonna fuck him. He's gonna pay me. I'm gonna take all his money. He's a simp. He's a sucker. I can
Mm,
have all these different kind of men, and and even talk about even goes as far as violence with another woman, just like you would have the violence with another man in a rap song.
right.
You have these women doing the same fucking shit. And
So
and I grew up in not just a real rough neighborhood, but I grew up in the hood. It wasn't too bad,
mm,
you know. It wasn't too bad. I grew up in the kind of hood, but I went to a very highly decorated school.
mm,
And like you bitches is not doing that. Cardi B is not out there fighting bitches like that, or pulling guns on bitches.
mm.
Nicki Minaj is not out there, pulling guns on bitches. Like none of that shit, man. And it's ridiculous. You're competing with men, and the men rap. Look, rap is so boring and tiring. We've been talking about selling drugs and dope and downgrading our women for 30 fucking years, man. It's not time. It's not time for something new yet.
Yeah.
But that could be a whole nother podcast.
Like, do you think that the women are rapping about that because the men are, like, in a reaction to it?
Rap, to me, rap is strictly industry forced and promoted. And when I say that, I mean you can look at some male rappers and they talk about. I'll give you a prime example. Future.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was his last CD or the CD before that. I think he had like 15, 16 tracks. 13 or 14 of them was about Molly, codeine, and pills. And
Right.
then when you ask him, or he does an interview in his real life, he does none of that shit. But he'll promote that. You have the rapper Young Jeezy that'll tell you, get rich or die trying. Sell dope or no, it's called Trap or Die. Which a trap, if you don't know, let me educate your pasty ass. If you don't know what a trap house is, a trap house is where you well, I'm gonna explain.
Okay.
I'm explaining for your other pasties.
Oh.
Don't you dare fucking edit it.
Like, mental note.
Mental note. Don't get it twisted. I'm talking to you darkies too. I'm talking to you too, because some of y'all don't know what a trap is. Yeah, Mr. X on one today. But anyway, a trap is where you sit and you just sell drugs out of it. That's what it is. So here it is. Young Jeezy would tell you, trap or die. Sell these drugs or die. Meanwhile, his son goes to Harvard.
Oh shit! Really?
Yes.
Ooh, that's pretty fancy.
There was a picture floating around on the internet where he was just smiling, cheesing with some random Chinese family. This doesn't look. Why are you laughing?
That's really upsetting.
It's really upsetting because, like, I thought you're supposed to be trapping and dying, motherfucker.
Yeah, no kidding.
It looked like you having the time of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm concerned about the coronavirus, but too soon?
Yep.
Too soon. Goddamn. But yeah, like you can't take this shit serious. As far as our music, you can't take serious. You can't take this shit serious. But that goes from our different respected or disrespected cultures that we come from.
Right.
Yeah, I don't take these nothing that these rappers say serious. It's just entertainment. I rarely listen to music when I'm in a car. It's mostly talk radio or some type of news. I might get in my mood one day when it's a nice fucking good day, listen to some music, but I don't take this shit serious, man.
Well,
and no one should.
A lot of older music too. Like you
right.
listen to rock and
I love rock, yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, can you just tell people about this this debate and this woman at this debate? Because again, you and I talked about those questions. What are we getting out of blank by doing blank? So this woman who acted at this debate rally, what was her point in acting this way? So what did she do?
Well, okay, it was at Joe Biden, I believe it was.
Okay.
It was at his oh no, it wasn't Biden. So I'm sorry. Mr. X has been drinking tequila, by the way, so might be a little bit off.
Not surprised.
Hey, look, white girl wasted. Let's not even fucking talk. All right.
Go on. Somebody's debate. Somebody who wants to be fucking president. His debate.
It was Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was Bernie Sanders, and the woman, and it was her and another woman was protesting about the treatment of cows and farms.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was her.
So,
That,
so they were
that
like
was.
vegans or whatever.
I don't know if they were vegans, but they were protesting about something.
Okay. Animal
Uh,
cruelty or something. Okay.
and it was some treatment towards animals and farmers. That's what it was, both
Okay.
in a mixture.
Okay.
And one woman decided to not go topless, and one woman decided to go topless. And you said something very interesting yesterday when we had this conversation. You said, what would happen if a man would pull out his dick during a protest?
You found that interesting. We laughed for like 10 minutes.
Like, dude, you don't even realize, like, I had a vision of that shit, and like the guy speaking, doing his speech or whatever about how he's gonna make the world change, and you look over and there's a 13-inch dick just hanging out somewhere, and people are like, I'm just taking that off. Like, I seen that in my head. Like
A 13-inch dick. That's impressive.
yeah, that would make someone stop and be like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, what are you doing with that weapon? But
the reason I asked it is because, okay, first of all, yesterday when you told me this, you told me the story, you actually never said what she was protesting. That is so wild to me. First of all, okay, fine. Protest the treatment of animals in the meat industry, 100%. Like, it's whatever. That's a worthy cause. Why take your fucking shirt off? What?
right.
Again, that begs the question. What are you doing that for? Like, what is the point of that action? I
Want
mean,
me to tell
yeah.
you why? Want me to
Well,
tell you
like,
why? What's the point of that action?
well, hold on. Just first of all, as a feminist in the 21st century, okay, women can, okay?
That's right. That's
They
what I was gonna
can.
say. They
They can.
can.
But why?
They can't. Why? That's you're asking why, and the answer is because they
They
can.
can. Like, so would a man
Oh my god.
and that's why I was like, well,
Oh my
like,
god.
okay, so like you asked me that question, and then I was like, okay, why would she take her shirt off? Like, what point is she trying to make? And then I was like, if a guy was doing that, holding the sign, and then he's like, oh, fuck this shit, and just like takes off his pants, why? Why would you take off your pants? Why would you show your dick?
For a man, it could be many reasons. Like, I might see how many bitches I can pull out this this rally tonight. But I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope, because from a feminist point of view, there's no barriers of what they can do during the protest, because they can't do anything wrong. Meanwhile, you can't kneel during a fucking racist ass national anthem if you're a so-called black man without being called a piece of shit.
Hmm.
So either you can peacefully protest about real life shit, social injustices, or you can fucking go at a presidential rally and talk shit topless, and that's okay to do, and no one is outraged about that shit, and it's more power to her for doing that. But you, sir, that are quietly protesting, you're a piece of shit, and you're actually protesting for a cause where people are getting murdered behind.
Yeah.
So
It's just reactionary, right? Like, it's this, we live in this age where, like, I can do it, or like women can do what they want, and so they do.
right, they do.
And you asked the question, like, who's going to keep the women in line? And so whose job is it to keep that woman in line? You know, and I was also thinking about that, like, because you asked that question a number of times, is it the man's job to keep their woman in line, or just women, period? If not men,
Well,
is it? You know?
right. I think we're past that point. We're past that point, because you're protesting against basically manly men.
Yeah.
So it's gone past the point where a point of no return.
Well, we need to get back to the stasis where we have acceptable behavior that we can all agree is for the betterment of our society and for our children. So this just like mental checklist. So okay, I'm planning on acting this way and dressing this way. Would I be comfortable with my children watching this? I mean, is that a gauge? Is that a good level? Like, or is that a good way of like checking my behavior? You know, and I think that's kind of what having morals and values and a good parents, a good upbringing, those things have been taught to good people, and I
Right.
that people they will think before they act. And
Of
maybe
course.
what's happened is that there are a lot of people in today's society that haven't been taught that haven't been taught like I need to check my attitude and my actions before I do it. And
Right.
you know that
You-
I don't do that a lot, and you get on me about that. Um, but I think like as a society, that's what needs to happen for our women and men to start acting like fucking good men and women again.
Right. Especially the man, because we're supposed to be role models and we're supposed to be the quote unquote bread or provider and rock and sense of security. And like, dude,
And you're certainly not my moral compass, men as a whole, you know, right now. I don't think that you have any moral high ground on women.
well, because you're a feminist, that's why you wouldn't think that.
But you,
You're a feminist.
but men are no better than women right now, Mr. X. They aren't.
Yeah, and you're so right. You're so right. But that's not that's really not the point. Because here, as women said, a man can't tell. It's not a man's place to tell a woman where she's wrong or where she's not. So men. I mean, believe it if you don't want to, or if you do, men, the strong-willed and strong-minded man that's frowned upon. That's frowned
Yep.
upon.
Yep. That's what toxic masculinity is.
And so again, I will ask you because I never got a clear answer: is feminism toxic masculinity?
I'm gonna say, in general, no. The radical feminists have gone to a different plane, but like the me feminists,
So you know what? You know what? Let me ask you that: who's going to put that's what we should, that's what we need to address. And who's going to the women that are the feminists, the women that want to march for equal rights and march for this? That's fine, that's cool. But who's going to put the radical feminists in line? We're fine with the other feminists. You know, give them the fucking equal pay. Stop harassing their asses at work.
mm-hmm.
Treat them like women. But these other motherfuckers, something has to be done about them. That's the problem. Who's gonna control them? Who's gonna say they're out of line? Because when they challenge men and they step out of bounds and cross the line, you know what they run to do? We're feminists. We're feminists. You can't say this to us. You can't attack us because we're feminists. But just a few minutes ago, you were fucking topless at a goddamn rally, and you had a buzz cut haircut, and you were ready to whoop someone's ass. So I'm glad that was a good point you made. So my thing isn't the feminists as a whole, and I've said this before, but I didn't know how to separate the two, but you just gave me an idea on how to separate the two, and it's the radical extreme feminists that makes feminism toxic masculinity. But one thing you can attest to, unless you cross a certain line with me, I don't downgrade you as a person, man or woman. And throughout our relationship, that I've never done that to you, and you've never seen me belittle a person because I thought that she was a woman. Have you seen that?
No.
But let you tell it. Your fucking friends that hear some shit I say and go bonkers with it. That's what they think, and that's just not true. But these feminists, these extreme feminists, as well, they think they have the right for whatever reason to belittle a man, let alone people. And that question is, who's going to put their ass back in line? Because when that time comes for them to get put back in line, they run back to the, oh, we are all feminists thing. You can't talk to us like that.
Again, it's reactionary right now, because I mean, it's a defense mechanism to put down a gender that's been oppressive towards women for so long. So I think the natural reaction, it's like when you get in a fight, is to defend yourself and to fight back. And so right now we're in that fight back stage of our society where you are the enemy. Men are the enemy because you were so oppressive for so long.
Well, that's not all the way accurate, but for someone who does history, women have always been put on a pedestal. Like all these different Greek goddesses and all these different Egyptian goddesses and Roman goddesses, they were symbolized after real life women. They were put on pedestals.
I know, but like you look at 400 years ago where a woman couldn't go out in public without a chaperone because she
well how do you know that? Again that history has to be done, Toby. So how do you know that? Because 400 years ago there were prominent women rulers.
Yeah, but
women ran empires and had men killed.
Yeah, but like women in society, like if I was like, you know, working in the kitchen or whatever, I'm like a maid because I'm not.
What do you mean society?
I couldn't just go walking down the street to the store without a chaperone, you know? And that's what
how do you mean by that? Women in society, if women were rulers of empires and were having other women killed to stay on the top.
Yeah, but that's an isolated example. I'm talking about.
It's not if it's an empire. It's not an isolated example. An isolated example would be Joanne and fucking Becky, like down the street, right?
Okay, you know what? We are broaching on a whole nother fucking subject right now.
But that's what I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's what they do. And I actually think we do pretty well of staying in the realm of the shit that we're supposed to talk about.
I know. Because you just the other day, you're like, well, maybe it would be fun to like talk about a couple different subjects, but yeah, I don't know.
If it was just to let them fly out. I have a lot of ideas that I actually want to take this thing. So really? We'll see what happens. I don't know. I might get fucking booed off the podcast because the angry black man.
You're gonna get booed off the podcast? Like I'm gonna like fire you or something? Is that what's gonna happen?
Doubtful, my nigga.
You're what? You're what?
Dude, don't fucking do me because you spewed the N-word all over.
Do not say that. Do not. I'm editing that out. I, Tobi, never did what he is saying.
Bro, your boyfriend told me you that y'all role play and say it.
Oh. You are horrible.
Oh my God.
You're going down. I'm gonna find something on you.
Hey, you can't find shit on me if I release it to the public. I don't give a fuck. You know me. I don't care, but you can't embarrass me with shit.
You don't give a fuck. So
man, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this talk.
Yeah, it was a good topic. We wanted to go into it and rehash it. It seemed to be a lot of different emotions and feelings from various people regarding this topic, and it was one of our most listened to podcasts. And you wanted to rehash it, and I wanted to rehash some things and clear up some things as well, which I really should, because everything I say I try to make clear, and yet I'll reiterate that I have no problem with women standing up for if their rights are being infringed or treaded upon. I have no right with that. But when you're in a movement for certain rights, you can't you can't infringe or tread upon people as well. That would be equivalent to a movement about violence against Black people, but we're killing fucking cops. That's stupid. That would be stupid. So, but you hit it the nail on the head when you said radical feminists, because no one picks them and calls them out because they're under this whole umbrella of feminism, and we can't say nothing against feminism because hey, we're marching for women's rights.
Yeah, we should get to a place where, as a feminist, I'm allowed to be a champion for women, but not by putting men down. You know, like,
right?
Why does there have to be that seesaw? Why can't we just fight for our rights and not at the expense of men? That's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Right. Well, I mean, and to dig deep into it, it's all an orchestrated thing. Like, the powers to be want division, and they've created it, and it's typical Hegelian dialectic: problem, reaction, solution. And you sheeple just can't fucking see this thing, man. You can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here we are, even more divided than our country needs to, or I will say our country, than our country needs to be. All right, we're divided on every level, socially, economically, politically, racially. Like, it's division in this fucking place, man. And this is supposed to be the mecca of all countries. And like, as people, we can't get our shit together.
Well, we'll solve it one podcast at a time. What's our grand vision? Mr. X and Tobi conquer the world.
Yeah, if I don't get stoned to death first by you fucking radical feminists.
Well, just don't like pull your 13-inch dick out and you'll be fine.
Hey, if I pull my dick out in the crowd, no one will be looking, don't you worry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
All right. Well, take care. Goodbye. That's all I got. I have nothing like snazzy. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Later, bitches.